Some of them just need some TLC, and some of them are gone for good. That's what's happening in America right now. A lot of our little small towns are disappearing little by little. Here's another one. It's about time we got out to real Texas, isn't it? This is Headley, Texas. Population, maybe 289. But nobody really knows. I think they're losing people so fast, they just stopped updating the sign here. Gotta wait for the census to see how many people are left. We're in the Texas Panhandle. It's mid-November, so there's a little bit of chill in the air. We started the road trip back in October, and the days were getting shorter. But don't worry, weather doesn't matter out here much anymore. The wind can blow and blow, and not many people would even know. Wouldn't affect a damn thing anymore. Because in case you haven't heard, the Texas Panhandle is in a world of hurt right now. This is not the Texas that the world knows. So we spent 3 days driving around the hot, dusty, empty Texas Panhandle. I'm going to take you through all the places over here that are way different than the places I've shown you so far on this road trip. And I have to say, despite the bleak and the blah that we saw everywhere, it sure was good to be out in real Texas. We had spent so much time in traffic and big cities and just not this. This is Texas. Well, howdy. It's me again. I'm in Amarillo, Texas. Back there behind me is the Big Texan Steak Ranch. Now we're in Big Boy Pants part of Texas. Practically in Oklahoma now. This is how Texas used to be. This is how Texas should be. My kind of place. Most Texans wouldn't step foot in the Panhandle. They couldn't handle it up here. Well, I think that's horse shit. When the sun goes high in that Texas sky, I'll be bucking at the county fair. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo, I'll be there. What, are you at the radio station?
Yes, sir, I am.
I have a YouTube channel. We're just traveling through it. My name's Nick.
Hi, Nick. What's your what do you call your channel?
Nick Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you feature on it?
We travel and we're on our way to Amarillo.
Okay.
So we're stopping and looking at small towns.
Well, good. We appreciate it.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
What is life like in Memphis, Texas?
Well, right now, life like is just a little slow, and we appreciate that. We sure love living in rural America. I'm glad to be stranded out here in rural America with everything going on in the world these days.
Well, that was unexpected. That's Joe Davis. He's the mayor of a little struggling town out in the middle of nowhere's Texas. A place called Memphis. We pulled over here to look around and we were marveling about how everything here has changed. And I was recording the big empty courthouse. He pulled up in his van and he was like, "Hey, by the way, that's not abandoned. We're just fixing it up." It was like he could read my mind. Anyways, we got to talking and Joe told us all about the woes of his Panhandle town. I was like, "Joe, it's like this everywhere here. We've been driving around for a day and a half." He was like, "I know. We're working on it. There's only so much we can do." We saw a lot of that driving around Joe's neck of the woods. Just about every place we saw was some variation of has-been land. We spent a lot of our time in Amarillo, Texas. This is the worst part of Amarillo. I'm only showing you this to keep your attention, because people want to see bad things. And to be honest, Amarillo is so blah these days that you'd be bored for an entire video. Now, I've seen my share of hoods, but damn, people, I did not expect to see this. The whole east and north sides of Amarillo, they look pretty bad. We're out here along the plains, where the only thing that'll grow is dead prairie grass and dirt. A lot of it looks like it's been windswept for decades and just left to rot out here. That might be true. But it is cheap. Amarillo is one of the great ironies of Texas. The city's world famous, but there really isn't anything of huge significance here. The only actual landmark is Cadillac Ranch, just outside of town. We'll see that later. Around here, folks will say there's nothing in Amarillo that can't be found in any other average suburban wasteland. That's mean. Downtown, it's pretty empty. But despite the way this looks, Amarillo is still one of the fastest growing cities in the country right now. And from what I saw, it was the only place in the Panhandle that's thriving anymore. I mean, we drove around the region for 3 days, and we were like, what is going on? Well, let's take off here, and I'm going to show you some more of the Panhandle. There's just so much to see. Kinda a lot more to see. This is Childress, Texas, or what's left of it. Childress is right here. We're right on the Oklahoma border, maybe 120 miles east of Amarillo. Well, we might be closer to Oklahoma City. I don't think anyone out here really knows. We stopped in Childress as part of a journey that took us all over the area. Here's a map of the places we went to and the route we took. And every place we came to, things were bad. Bad, bad, bad. So Childress has 6,700 people, down from 5,800 20 years ago. It was never a huge place. It peaked in the 1940s when the Air Force Base was a big deal. But then WW2 ended, and we closed a lot of Air Force bases in the country, including theirs. And over time, sometimes there'd be a little mini oil boom here, and some folks would come into town, but mostly Childress has seen more worse days than better ones. And Childress is just one casualty out here. Every place has a different story of failure and change. Hey. Where we are right now is no man's land, mister. It's the Great Plains of Texas. This is where all the pioneers crossed over when they made their way west. The whole area out here has changed a lot. They've had Great Depressions, tornadoes, dust bowls, engine raids. It's dusty, hot, sort of deserty, really windy. They say you can identify a West Texan steer because it has 2 legs shorter to lean into the wind. But a very unforgiving place this is. It took macho people with a lot of faith in God to make a go of it out here. For fun, it's a lot of churches and bars. It's very religious out here. It's a lot of Catholics and Protestants and Baptists. Yet church talk and country music on the radio, tumbleweeds rolling across the highways, run over armadillo every few miles. There's even a hint of cow shit in the air here. This was called one of the 10 most conservative places in America. I wouldn't imagine anyone out here would want to vote Democrat. None of these little towns and counties out here were ever massive, but they had a lot more going on than they do now. West Texas sure seen better days. This is Electra, Texas. Population 2,000 and going down by a lot. We came into Electra, and the first thing we saw was this old oil graveyard. And downtown didn't look any better at all. Nobody down here. No matter how bad these old Panhandle towns were, we always saw some reference to their local high school football team. Oil was good to this place. It's been bad to this place too. The Chamber of Commerce office, and nobody's in there today. Not a lot going on in Electra, Texas. Not today. Barbershop.
They shall become refuse on the ground. The wicked are destroyed with the brightness of his coming. Bodies strewn over the earth. What a gruesome, what a horrible scene. Sin is horrible. And the whole universe sees the results of, the effects of, the consequences of sin.
Then we continued our journey along the dusty Panhandle. And within 30 minutes, we came to a little dying town called Chillicothe. There's 700 people here now. Back in the 30s and 40s, there were double that. They lose about 70 people a year here nowadays. Just about once a week, somebody takes off for good. All you hear about lately is about the great late Texas boom. Everyone's coming to Texas, right? Well, if you look at a map, you can see that a lot of this state's losing population. All these little rural counties out where I am right now, people are either dying off or moving out of the state or into the big cities. Just about the entire Panhandle's losing population. Every time they do a census, each of these counties up here in the Panhandle loses about another 10%. Just empty storefronts and offices that look like someone just decided last day, didn't pack, no warning, just left. This place was important, and now it's literally a place that trucks just drive through. That's all it is anymore. cotton bales. Cotton. All the way down. I don't know when that was written on that window. Probably a long time ago. In a lot of these towns, they can't even field 11 players for a football team anymore. Some of them field 6-man football teams. 6 against 6 in football. That ain't Texas. Out here on the Great Plains, it ain't as macho like it once was. Back then, families homesteaded out here, and all they needed was fertile soil and rain. There's no eking out a living on the family farm anymore. Very few people get rich growing crops these days. A lot of that's automated, and a lot of the smaller farms have been bought up by the big guys anyway. Families out here aren't having as many kids, except the Hispanics. Some people will say that the immigrant field workers are the only people adding any zip to the area. Their population's been going up. If it wasn't for them, these towns would be dwindling even faster. And whatever farms are left out here, they got to worry about the giant underground Oglala aquifer running out. I don't know if you've heard about this. There's a big underground water reserve under here. They think there's about 50 years left, but nobody knows. One day a farmer out here will turn the spigot and he'll get one last drop that'll fall into his cantaloupes. And then what? It's not just farming, though. Railroads kept this area pretty important, but we don't use a lot of those anymore. And of course, energy jobs. Now I'm going to talk about the boom and bust of oil in the next place I stop at. But the oil biz out here is really hard to predict. You get these big runs on petroleum that last for years, and then the Panhandle fills up with roughnecks who come down here and make a windfall. And then the oil runs over. The ups and downs of the oil industry have had a really big impact on this region. So all these things that brought people out here, the farms, the railroads, the energy jobs. In today's modern world, living out here just doesn't make any sense if you want to have a shot at the big time. This is Quanah, Texas. Had 4,500 people in 1950. Now there's half that. They're losing somebody every day here. All this has to have some value, right? If they could come in here and put some money into this. Somebody? Anybody? Well, I talked to a woman who lives here. Her name's Samantha. She runs a little business in town, and she came out and she was wondering what I was doing recording the town. Well, I explained I was doing a YouTube video, and she kind of started to talk to me for a little bit. She told me that this right here is the hometown of Fred Koch. You know, the chemical engineer who modernized the oil refining process. Well, Fred opened up a big oil refinery plant just outside of town, and that kept this place going forever. But you know the story. The plant closed down years ago, and a lot of people left. Boom and bust. Samantha also told me there's a lot of younger people who are moving back here to raise their kids, since it's so cheap out here. She's like, a lot of kids, they leave, they take off and go out and see the real world, and then they realize the real world's pretty tough, so they come back here and start their family. It's safe, it's cheap, so she thinks there's hope. I don't know, maybe she's right. Here is another town. Flags are flying. Quanah, Texas. And there is Nothing going on here. But I mean, they got the flags out. But everything is closed. The old flower store, whatever that was. Whatever that was. Clint's Bits and Spurs. I don't think that's right. Maybe 20 years ago at 5:45. Wait, it's like the entire downtown just gone. God. It's the Bust Belt. America is very quickly eroding. It just kept going and going. The shadows of the day got longer, and the blight got wronger. It was every town we came to. Every single one in the Panhandle within 100 miles of Amarillo looks just like this. It was crazy. This is Headley. We saw this earlier. We thought we were done pulling over, but then I was like, nope, we got to pull over and check this place out too. At their peak, they had 800 people in town. They're down to 300. Same thing, jobs left, shit changes, people move on. So right now we're in Headley, Texas, a little small town that's seen some better days. It's the same thing you see in all these towns you go to. You've got a loss of jobs, loss of people, and a lot of people don't want to come back here, even though it's a lot safer and more affordable than a lot of the big cities. There's just not a lot to do around here. And one by one, folks are taking off out here in the rural Texas Panhandle on a late afternoon in mid-November. Then down the road was a place called Clarendon. I didn't even know this place was out here either, but had to pull over. Every week, a family decides to move on from this little town. Most of these houses out here are about $100,000 each. It's cheap. Problem is, family sells, they want to move to Amarillo, then they have to take out another $100,000 loan. And who's going to pay $100,000 to live out here anyway? Somebody might. Maybe it's you. And then finally, Memphis. We remember Memphis, Texas. That's where the mayor was that we met on our final Panhandle stop that day. Folks out here in Memphis are just about the same as they are down the road in the other towns. 1 in 5 people here is technically in poverty. But you don't need a lot to live out here. So if you live in poverty out here, you must be making zero. And about 1 in 10 people out here is out of work. It's just a simple life. Some people love this. Some can't wait to leave. And some can't leave. Yeah, a lot of people want safe. They want cheap.
Want safety, security. You know, if you're stopped here in the middle of the road, you couldn't do that anywhere else. You know, so small town America is a great deal. I appreciate it.
A lot of the towns look like some of them are in better shape than others. This one looks better than some of the other ones I've seen on 287.
Yeah.
boom and bust of oil?
Oh yeah, with I think the boom here was in the 40s and 50s, and then as time marched on, technology took over. The cars got better. People paying a little bit more for a car every than they used to. People kind of migrated to the city and so on, and they didn't have to just do business in small town America. So that's where you have your more of a metroplex, where it's more of a hub. Amarillo in our area is more of our hub than we are. So there's more niche businesses coming back to rural America. There's a lot more people working out of their homes. There's a lot more people coming to rural America, I think, because they want to get out of the big city and the cost of living. It's very inexpensive to live here. We're lucky to live out here. It's quiet, but on the other hand, that's a blessing.
What would people expect if people moved out here to rural Texas? What kind of lifestyle would they expect?
They would be able to just kind of do their own thing. They're not going to be able to go to Macy's, or we got a Walmart down the road 30 miles, but you can live without Walmart, So they would, you could work on your yard. You can get out and travel around the world and still come back here and go to sleep at night. Right now, it's just quiet. Which is a plus. I grew up in L.A., California, born there, digressed my life in order to get to Memphis, Texas. So it's kind of a backward deal for me. I'm not moving up, I'm moving down.
Mm-hmm. What kind of values do people have out here?
Just same small town life,
Conservative, church,
they want
football.
Conservative. They which just as time is marched on, more people have moved out in order to make a living. But those people like your age that have made a living or don't have to make a living with hands-on labor out here in rural America, they're wanting to move back. So we have a lot more resurgence of that. We've had about 15 individuals or families move here in the last couple of years. So that's big to us.
Mm-hmm.
But what you see with rural America traveling around, I don't know where you're from, you're going to see where they didn't really pay much attention to keeping buildings up because it wasn't very important. And now it's like, oh no, now we got to get things turned around. We're redoing this courthouse, as you can see here. It's not all boarded up because it's deserted. They just boarded it up last few weeks.
What KLS? Are you like a DJ or something here?
I own it. I'm the DJ.
Oh, you're the owner of the radio station.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's KL. I tell you, you've had dyslexia when you were growing up, right?
Did I say KLSR?
You said KSL, but that's okay. Yeah.
I did. Thank you very much. What's your name?
My name's Joe Davis.
Joe Davis.
I'm also the mayor.
You're also the mayor?
Yeah. You want to get another picture?
Yeah, let's do it. You're the mayor of town, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
So, our little square's rather deserted right now these days, but on the other hand, it'll be coming back. It just takes... some of this is where we are with a lot of these little buildings around here. People have owned it, they've inherited with their family, they got mama's stuff in there, and they're just not ready to turn loose to it yet. So that's where we are on that set. And you're going to see that through small town America for the most part. There's houses out here. It looks like, how come somebody didn't live in there? You're like, well, because mama's stuff's in there or this and that, and they're just not ready to disperse of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get around to doing it, then you have to fix the whole property up.
Yeah.
But that's just a necessary evil, I guess you might say, before we get things turned around. But we're lucky with this little town here. We got a 9-hole golf course. We have umpteen state championships with our golf team, girl and boys. So for a little bitty town out here in the middle of nowhere to have a golf course, we have a great airport out here. We have traffic, people coming there. A lot of hunters, which brings money into the area. Not just, you don't see it right here, but they're shopping in the store. They're keeping our economy going. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we kind of like it is, but we need some more traffic. We have this much room for it.
So this whole panhandle that we've seen so far that I'm showing you, this is just another corner of America that's ruined. I showed this to you with the Rust Belt when I went through Indiana and Michigan when the car makers left. And then I showed it to you in Appalachia land, all those places in Kentucky and West Virginia, and what happens when the coal industry left. And then down in the deep south, in the Rot Belt, where all the farming towns have gone kaput. And now here. I guess you could call this the oil bust belt, or just the bust belt. I'm telling you, you've seen it. America's withering away on all its edges.
Cha-cha-ching cha-ching, cha-cha-chung cha-ching cha-chung.
Well, what's that? You sound like a damn Chinaman, Mappy.
That's right. We all need to learn Chinese now. We've been sold out by corporations and politicians. Get in now or get left behind. Cha-cha-ching cha-ching 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 cha-ching.
Well, what the hell happened to my posse? You're speaking that Chinese shit too, Juan?
See.
Will you keep that Chinese shit out of your mouth, Mappy? We ain't speaking that in my Texas, damn it. Just like we ain't speaking no Mexican neither. American made. We fought for this land. It's ours.
It's too late. See.
So this place clearly has seen better days. I think there used to be a lot more people than what's here now in Newland, Texas. It's just another example of the Bust Belt. Times sure are tough in the Panhandle if you turn corners. But it sure is pretty out here, isn't it? Sure is quiet in this little ghost town. Oh, and there's a dog. Hopefully, looks like Cujo. Be a good boy now. You might be wondering, what are the politics like up here, Nick? Well, LOL, I'll tell you, it ain't very diverse. It is red up here. Look at all this. I heard about a small county up here where only 17 people in the whole county voted for Joe Biden last time. And you can bet everybody knew who those 17 people were, too. There is no room for progressive ideas or change out this way. Which is probably what's going to stop these places from recovering, let's be honest. But I don't think these folks seem to care all that much. Red or dead, that's how they think. I mean, look at this map of the electric car charging stations in West Texas. LOL. I don't see very many at all. And the ones we saw, none of them were working. Well, that sucks. Figures. Damn, none of them work. Hope you don't run out of gas. And if you do, every place out here leads to Amarillo. If there's a place out here that's not dying away, it's Amarillo. It's the only place up here that's actually really growing. There's about 200,000 people here now. Sometimes they get an extra 500 or so when there's a little mini oil boom. But overall, the population here is going up. But even though there's a lot of people coming here, I have to say, most of Amarillo looks like shit. Not gonna lie. Kind of looks like my hometown. Downtown looks pretty bad. Super empty. It's clean, but there's unused buildings all over the place. Well, it is Tuesday morning at 8:45, and I'm standing right in the middle of downtown Amarillo, and there is nobody driving around down here. I mean, no rush hour, no honking. On the main square, I guess that could be considered good if you like not a lot of traffic and dealing with a bunch of crap, but it's not good if you want to be in a place that's booming. I don't think it's booming down here very often. It's quiet though. I mean, I saw stray dogs wandering around downtown. That's almost a pack. I don't think I've ever seen a pack of dogs wander around through a city with a decent-sized downtown before. I mean, there's some stuff for work here, I guess. But if you didn't want to work in oil or natural gas or helium, there ain't much more. There's a military base not too far away, and they build nuclear weapons in the area. But outside of energy, not a lot. And by the way, here's what downtown Amarillo used to look like. Pretty cool. Somebody told me once, take all of Oklahoma and cram it into one little city. That's Amarillo. I guess they're right. I don't know. I don't have enough Oklahoma experience to be able to judge that. They call this the Yellow Rose of Texas because Amarillo means yellow in Spanish. It's starting to get cold up in here. It's about 39 degrees this morning. And I'll tell you what, it gets cold up here, mister. We were here in mid-November, and they told us, usually we have a big snow by now. I mean, we're in the plains. It is cold and windy this morning in Amarillo. And it is way different here weather-wise than the rest of Texas I've seen so far. Out here in the Great Plains of Texas. Of course, everybody wants to know about old Route 66. It goes right through Amarillo. It's seen better days. Everybody told me, take Route 66 if you want to see how things have changed here. So we did. One part of the route has this historical, sort of still holding on part where you can get a sense of what things were like back in the day. Some history and restaurants and all. Looks decent. But the other end, the east side of town, things are pretty rough down here. There's a lot of abandoned and rundown, and the east side of Route 66 just looks pretty bad. People told me, oh yeah, that's where all the crackheads and homeless people and junkies hang out. They were right. I saw a lot of that. Charles Goodnight is from here. He was one of the first great cattle ranchers of the early 1800s. Cattle was a big deal here, mister. And it still is. Beef and ag are kings. If you can't find a job in energy or you don't want to do that, there's always packing meat. This is one of the biggest meat packing industries in the country. 25% of all beef in the country is processed in this area. And that's really how Amarillo earned its chops, by chopping up meat. And a lot, and I mean a lot, of immigrants from Asia come here and from south of the border just to work in the Amarillo meat plants. I already showed you the bad part already. It's pretty bad. I saw some real hoodbilly shit out here. It's also not as pickup trucky as I thought it would be. But overall, it is dirt cheap out here. People make about 2 or 3K a month on average, which isn't a lot. But the average cost of a home's about 200 grand. Crime-wise, it's not terrible, but it's getting worse. It's now the 6th worst place for crime in Texas, and it's the worst place in the state for rapes. What the hell's happening? There's also a lot of property crimes here, and a lot of that's because of all the meth heads in town. Plus, we're at the intersection of I-20 and I-40, so you have a lot of drug trafficking and troublemakers passing through. And there's a lot of human trafficking here, too. Sounds terrible. It's half white and half Latino out here. But the illegals are moving in, and who knows what they're up to. And right on the edge, it's booming. Look at that. I saw this all over. Practically every edge of town has new houses going up. Good for them. One report said Amarillo is the second boomingest mid-sized city in the nation. There's a lot of West Coasters moving up here, and farmers are more than happy to sell their land. It's not fantastic here, but if you want it cheap and you want it Texas, it checks those boxes. People can just have a simple life here. If I left expensive and I wanted a new home and a little space for the kids and some stars at night, there's worse places to pick from. This might be some of the last affordable in the entire state. They just need some new industry to come up here so all these people can have long careers. Streets are just fucking terrible here. Overall, driving around, most of Amarillo looks like this. Lots of liquor stores, lots of check cashing and those rip-off loan places on the main drags. A few junkies wandering around. I didn't see a ton of homeless people, so that's good. And guess what? It was just announced that there's a new Buc-ee's coming into town, and that is a big deal for these people, mister. Not only is it going to provide great, good-paying jobs, but Buc-ee's is amazing if you haven't been to one. All they have here right now is this lousy chain called Toot and Totem. Wah, wah, wah. A Buc-ee's, it certainly is not. Bathrooms are gross. Just a regular place with dirty bathrooms. Toot and Totem. But they do have these illegal gambling machines. Buc-ee's ain't got them. Now, when we were here, we stopped by a few places to get the local flavor. You know, got to show you the real Amarillo. Our first stop was at one of the most famous saddleries in the state, a place called Oliver's Saddles. And look at this fine work. They ain't cheap, though. You want quality? You come to Oliver's. You want cheap? You go to Boot Barn. Plain and simple. They've been making saddles the old-fashioned way for a long, long time. And hopefully for longer. We met with Richard. He's the owner. Look at this guy. Total macho dude. He's been here making saddles since 1968. A lot of you were born that year.
I graduated from college in 70 and came back to work with my dad. I'm third generation, and my boys are fourth generation, so we've been in business since 1917.
God, how has the industry changed at all in 100 years?
Quite a bit. I don't remember 100 years ago, but now I've seen the industry change a lot. Prices especially. Rough out saddle when I started was $245. Now our base price is $5,750. So I've seen quite a change in the prices. I've seen a change in the styles quite a bit through the years. Different things, different styles of saddles.
Mm-hmm. How has Amarillo changed since you've been here?
Well, Amarillo has grown tremendously. It's I think when we moved here, it was about 130,000. Now I'm sure it's over 200,000. The traffic's gotten worse, but it's still small enough to where I enjoy it. It's still a good town, good people.
What's the difference between the Panhandle and the rest of Texas that I've seen for the last few weeks?
Once you get off the Caprock, of course, the humidity is a lot different, and the lifestyles are a little bit different than they are up here on the high plains. We're still pretty much country up here, and the values maybe are a little bit different than further south. So around certain areas in Texas for sure. So,
What would those values be up here?
Christian values, I would say.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between the rural-ish Texas like this and the rest of the country?
In our area up here, the majority of our customers are regional. I mean, the Panhandle of Texas. Pretty much, we don't sign contracts. We shake hands. Man's word is still good. Cowboys still ride for the brand. Our employees work for the company. Work ethic is very good, very high here, and it's just kind of a different way of life. We're pretty independent, and that comes from probably the early settlers. They had to be pretty tough to make a living on this old arid ground up here, and it was pretty tough times, I'm sure. And so it's kind of an independent spirit, for sure.
Then we hopped in the car and went a few miles outside of town to one of the most famous booteries in Texas, a place called Beck's Cowboy Boots. Now check this out. They were making custom boots right on spot. We met the owner, Jeremy. He takes as much pride in his work as Richard does at the saddle shop.
So it started in 1916 by twin brothers Earl and Burl Beck. I've had it for 7 years. Harry Beck, Earl's son, retired. So Carlos and I own the business now. So we primarily make work boots, working cowboy boots, but they're all handmade. We do custom boots as well, but mainly work boots. So.
Has the industry changed? Has the style changed? Has the need? People, you keep hearing people don't like cowboy stuff anymore. They're not farming and ranching as much. Or is it more than, like, how has it changed?
The cowboy boots have changed. If you go back, I don't know, 30, 40 years, they were had all sizes. They were made, leather insoles, leather construction. Now, 90% of it's made in China, or, it's a lot of plastic and D's and double E's. So we make all sizes and then custom fit them as well. So that part's changed, but I think cowboy boots have been around forever. So I don't see too much change in the demand for them. So maybe more so with that Yellowstone. So who knows?
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between a pair of boots I'm going to go down and pick up at Walmart or Tractor Supply?
Sure.
Or something in here? What's the difference going to be?
Mainly quality. Ours again are leather insoles. They're handmade. If you go to Walmart, it's going to be plastic and cardboard and just junk, fake leather. So they'll last 5-6 times longer, and they're repairable as well. So, and the other part is that they're going to fit you better.
How does the cowboy culture up here in the Panhandle? What is it like up here?
That's a good question. It's guys that work hard. They no days off, and they use them, riding cold, hot, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're working and they're using them. So it's just, just good guys. I don't really have a good answer for that question. I'm not really a cowboy, so.
I guess what's the difference between the culture and vibe in the Panhandle versus the rest of Texas?
It's more, I would say, a little more rugged, a little more wide open. Get all seasons, hot, windy, cold, snow. So you get a little variety. You got to be able to handle the elements, I guess. So, especially those guys that are out in it all the time. Where South Texas, it's just hot. So it's a variety. So.
Yeah. If you were looking at me from what you know, what style boot do you think, like, if you were going to pick one off the rack, what do you think, what would be a Nick Johnson boot?
I think you need some roughouts.
Those right there?
Narrow toe, yeah.
Pink? I don't think he put too much thought into that. Do I look like a man who would wear pink boots?
Yes.
What in tarnation, Mappy? You better keep your mouth shut, you yellow-bellied weasel. I have a half a mind to hang fire on you.
I think we should put a pink hat on you, too.
Doggast it! For dinner on night one, we went to a highly recommended joint called Tyler's BBQ. Wonderful food. I mean, they do a super job here. Look at that meal. My manager and I went with the multi-meat platter, and it was mmm. Look at all the awards this place has won. We picked the right place. We have the owner, Tyler himself. He told us, "I'm not in the food business. I'm in the people business." He said, "It takes a lot of care and love to make food this good. I take close attention to detail and pride." Well, and that is something we're missing in today's world, ain't we? We're on Route 66 at Smoky Joe's in Amarillo, Texas. Here's Route 66. Kind of the nice part of Route 66 in Amarillo, because most of it's pretty sketch. But not this part. This isn't bad. That night we went out for drinks. I chose a joint called Smoky Joe's. You could just sense the history in this place. Look at that. I hear Amarillo's a friendly place. It has a big city, small town vibe, which is why, supposedly, you can run into several of your exes here. We had some Lone Stars, of course. At this point, I pretty much stopped trying to solve the bottle cap puzzles. They were either too hard to read or just such a letdown. They should really improve that. It gets hot in here in the summer. Look at this thermonuclear fan. What the hell? Anyways, I love these type of joints right on Route 66. Had a really good time. My manager and I even hung a buck up. It's probably still there. Day 2 was all the fun. Check this out. One of the coolest, most Texas cowboy statues ever. And it's right down the road from this. Duh. This is Cadillac Ranch. Probably one of the biggest letdowns of all tourist traps. It's just not very exciting. Some dude buried a bunch of Cadillacs in the ground in some cotton field in the mid-70s. But people come from all over the world to see it. I guess if you're driving along I-40, you should pull over. But don't go too far out of your way. Some people left their damn spray paint on the ground. Trashy people, probably from California. We bought our own supplies. This is the only piece of art I've ever seen where you're encouraged to contribute. What in the nappy?
I did my own.
Well, I see that, little fella. Good for you, partner. I'm just glad it ain't in damn Chinese.
Chinese people write their names backwards, like this.
We stayed at the Big Texan when we were in Amarillo. Neat place. Total throwback to the good old days. They even let you write your name on the damn walls in here. And you can believe me, I spent a lot of time watching Grit in that hotel room. And look, they even have a place that you can install your horse. Horse Hotel. Put your horses in the stall. And don't forget, put the horse shit in the dumpster. Not on the ground. Or anywhere else you're gonna put horse shit. Well, that's totally Texas, isn't it? Best part, this is right next door to the best restaurant in Texas. Big Texan Steak Ranch, folks. Well, howdy. We made it to Amarillo in the Panhandle of Texas. We're gonna go inside the Big Texas Steak Ranch and get a big steak. Come on. Now this place is amazing, people. Just look at how Texas charming this joint is. The steakhouse is famous because of that meal right there. That's a 72-ounce steak, salad, a tater, a roll, and some shrimp. And you pay $72 and they put you at that table right there in front of everybody. And if you can finish everything in an hour, it's free. They say somebody tries it at least once per day. But damn it, the day I was here, nobody did. Looking back, I should have just done it for the clicks and views. Who cares about the $70? Manager told me that a 100-pound woman did this challenge 3 times in 20 minutes. No shit. Ate all that 3 times. Anyways, I went for the regular meal. A big enough for me cut of steak and some taters. And I think that might have been the softest steak I've ever tried. And look at that. A little pepper too. It was good. This place is a total tourist trap. I think the only locals in here are people celebrating something. And we were here as the holidays were getting going. Clearly. And check it out. They got a rootin' tootin' shooting gallery. Gotta show off my skills to the ladies in town. Ain't no one in Texas seen my rifle skills yet. Remember how I did in Cody, right? We're in Amarillo. About to get me some skunk. Skunk. Oh, he's spraying. Better get him again. Quit spraying. Quit spraying, skunk. Shoot that damn bear. Got me some bear. Even shot some rattle from the saddle. Go on, get it. Go on, get it. Texas Panhandle. The whole place is just stubbornly hanging on. I came to the Panhandle wanting to say nice things about the place. This wasn't supposed to be another Nick Johnson poverty, tragedy, clickbait piece. But I didn't know the whole place would be so bad. Like, what can I say? It's cheap. People are nice. They have good values. It's isolated. Well, I'm being harsh. Western Texas isn't a bad place to be if you like this lifestyle. You got wide open skies with so many stars you can't even count them. Where you can shoot your guns till dawn. Where you can drink your whiskey and ride right into town and pick up a purty lady. No, those days are gone. Texas will never be like that again. I wish I got to see old Texas like that, back when it was in its good old days. Those days are gone, and it makes me sad to see it like this. Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house, too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country, and I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.